Time to key in 220 on the microwave because it's popcorn time. We've got Nintendo Switch 2 drama, Gamescom drama, leaker drama, and maybe at the end of this, some really nice, nifty information. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce, and we're just going to get straight into it. Jez Corden, who's the managing editor over at Windows Central, he's been on the PC, Xbox beat for a while now. He's a pretty respected journalist. He doesn't typically dive into Nintendo stuff, but today, just now, he said, heard some rumors recently that Nintendo maybe showed / maybe discussed the new Switch behind closed doors to select press and devs at Gamescom. Full reveals / leaks may be relatively imminent. And 113,000 views very quickly because this would send the video game industry into a massive storm, right? Nintendo showed the new console behind closed doors at Gamescom. They were at Gamescom. They did have a huge booth. We saw pictures of a very massive booth that nobody could go in. Secret stuff going down in there, apparently, and according to Jez, that secret stuff could very well be a new Switch console. But there's so much more to this story, okay? First of all, this tweet used to not say so many maybes, all right? Jez edited this tweet, you can see last edited, to say maybe showed and maybe discussed. It previously said showed / discussed, and now it's maybe showed / maybe discussed. Did they actually? And where are his sources? Now, I've got another interesting tweet that I believe has since been deleted by Jez Corden, where he talks about, I feel like I'd make it more obvious if I was kidding. I've heard the Switch was either shown / discussed at length at Gamescom. I don't really do the Nintendo beat, so I haven't looked into it that hard. Multiple sources I trust, though. Man, Jez is really jazzing this up. He says that multiple sources he trusts, and this would probably be like wider sources, right? Not just like a little Nintendo mole, because he's not even a Nintendo journalist, have talked about seeing this at Gamescom. So this seems like it's adding up to be very legitimate. And we know Nate Drake had this post about like his birds are getting ready to sing. He had little birds at Gamescom getting ready to talk about something about the new console. And there's, really glorious songs to be sung and you can up your hype. So maybe this is all lining up. But man, oh man, we then jump pages and we get something so darn sassy. So sassy and so loaded itself. Very stupid tweet and loaded with misinformation, says Nate Drake. Ouch. Ouch. And everybody responds that the dream is dead. Now, if you're going to evaluate who knows more about Nintendo stuff, Jez Corden or Nate Drake, you can make your own assumptions, I guess. Nate Drake has been pretty accurate on the beat for a while, specifically Nintendo, and Jez did modify his tweet to say maybe and maybe. He added 2 maybes in there, which speaks to a lack of certainty. Now, as we scroll down, Nate Drake had some more comments saying now he's updated the tweet and changed the claim to include a ton of maybes. Very interesting. And then Nate Drake continues on to say, press were not shown anything by Nintendo. Now, Nate Drake, again, is one that has claimed that he had little birds and a friend DA in place about stuff Nintendo did at Gamescom. But he says press were not shown anything by Nintendo. And then later he's going to clarify that it's on the hardware front. Because he goes down to say that, what does he say? Press were not shown anything, but then down here in a bit he says, I'm not speaking about software. I'm strictly referring to what the tweet was making mention to, which was Switch 2 hardware. I'm aware of the software shown to press at Gamescom via Nintendo. And we're to assume that software shown to press was Mario Bros. Wonder, because there was the event in New York at Nintendo New York. There was Gamescom happening in Germany and Europe. And now we have the Super Mario Bros. Wonder Direct on Thursday, which I'm streaming early, 6:30 a.m. Pacific, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. I'll put a link in the description down below. But software was shown. But hardware, Nate is saying this is a stupid tweet, and there was nothing shown. Many will take this tweet as correct, while its claims are not true. Press, again, were not shown anything by Nintendo. So this is clearly a major mix-up. I guess there is a chance Nate Drake could be incorrect here. Maybe his sources and maybe his insider access is not as special as Jez Corden's. But Nate is pretty darn certain, and Nate has been a guy who has not spoken unless he's certain. It's something that he's very much wanted to avoid. He does not like when people take his words and create YouTube, storms out of them. He does not like when websites just quote him and take it, oh my gosh, this is all happening. Like, he's very cautious about what he says. But he's not cautious today. He says very stupid tweet loaded with misinformation. So he is kind of doing something opposite what he normally does, which is be careful, be cautious, speak sort of, in very basic and washed out terms. No, here he is very definite, right? He is very sure, and he is very much saying that this was a stupid tweet and it's just not true. We will have to wait and see if it is true. I do believe that Nintendo Switch 2 leaks and reveals could start to happen. I'm going to go with Nate Drake and say I don't think that press was shown this hardware at Gamescom. It's probably too early for that. Dev kits are definitely out there. I think that's 100% a thing. I think games are being developed for late next year, but I don't think they would just bring everybody into a secret room and show this off. Now, why did they have such a big booth? What kind of meetings were they having? It could have been meetings with developers. Note that Nate is very clear to point out just press, right? Jez Corden's tweet, if we go back to it, he says, heard some rumors that Nintendo maybe showed press devs. And what's interesting, I think, if we really want to get nitty gritty, is that Nate Drake specifically says press were not shown anything. Press were not shown anything, right? And again, down here, press were not shown anything. Could they have been meeting with devs to discuss maybe their experience, Q&A, things of that sort, bring some new people aboard, sign some deals? That to me is plausible. But showing off final hardware to press and getting their previews written, no chance. We're way too early for that. We are in August still of 2023. If this thing isn't expected to launch till October or November 2024, we're over a year away. You don't write previews for a console that's not going to be revealed for another 9 months. And I surely think this thing will not be shown off to the public until next summer. Some people are hypothesizing maybe the first quarter direct, like a February direct. I think it's going to have its own thing in the summer, and that is where they'll reveal it, as they did their own reveal event, the separate reveal event for Nintendo Switch in, October of 2016. That was about 6 months before, and that's why I think the June timeframe, 5 to 6 months before, is where they would like to land. But very interesting, and I wonder what they actually were doing in that booth. It does seem like Mario Bros. Wonder is clearly the big thing, and perhaps they were also showcasing other games as well. If there is to be more previews coming soon for games like WarioWare, Detective Pikachu, or Mario RPG, maybe they kind of grouped everything together. I know Nintendo has done that from time to time. I used to get invited to some of those events, but I also know Nintendo is very likely to do separate events. I went to a separate Mario Maker 2 event in New York. I went to a separate Smash Bros. Ultimate event in New York. I've been to very dedicated events where it's just for one thing, just for one game. And even if they have a small demo to show, they still bring everyone in for this one thing, and they make a big show and dance about it. It's kind of how Nintendo is. So it's very likely that they could have just been showing Mario Bros. Wonder. No hardware to press, Mario Bros. Wonder to press, and then maybe behind closed doors to developers and to partners, maybe they were having discussions. Maybe they were having business meetings. Perhaps they were showing off other software to non-press partners. I don't know. Again, Gamescom is more of a business get-together for Nintendo than it is a public showing. And they didn't have some massive public booth presence. They really didn't have any. They didn't have Mario Bros. Wonder there to play. They didn't have anything new there to show off or showcase. Nintendo was there for business reasons. But business does not necessarily mean new console. Business could also mean upcoming games. Business could mean brand deals. Business could be movies. Remember, Nintendo is now a multimedia giant. They had a $1 billion movie. They are legitimately a Hollywood powerhouse. In fact, they have a theme park in Hollywood, California. So this is very weird that Jez would put this out there. I've seen some people say that he has nothing really to lose because he's not a Nintendo person anyway, so credibility, who cares? But I am a little confused. I do believe Nate Drake, but I'm wondering what Jez heard, and I'm wondering what they were talking about. And I do, my hypothesis is that there were meetings about Switch 2, primarily with developers, but that they weren't being shown off. And I think that's why Jez changed it to maybe showed, maybe discussed. Perhaps they discussed dev kits, they discussed upcoming games, they discussed upcoming partnerships without really having the hardware. You can just call it redacted. You can call it your future next piece of hardware and still have very productive meetings without them seeing, how the Joy-Con have been improved, what the form factor is, what color schemes it has, and the retail price. None of that stuff is being discussed now, and I firmly agree with Nate Drake. That all being said, I do think we'll start to see little things continue to leak out. We know Eurogamer and VGC have already had big blowouts on Nintendo Switch 2 with multiple sources and basically confirming information that they've heard that this will be launching late 2024. Now, given that those are European-based outlets and Gamescom did just take place, maybe there will be more. And then what are Nate's birds? If he has birds out there and it's not about the hardware, it's not about hardware being shown, it's not about a bunch of new games, what could it be about? What are his birds about? And I do wonder if that's where he's being very direct with his press wording and misinformed tweet about press, but there he will have some information that devs gained, or maybe more on the like technical side of what this system is targeting, or things of that nature. I don't really know. I think this is going to be like a big 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle. I think we're going to get little pieces from now until next summer, and then we'll be able to put the full thing together. But I firmly believe that nobody will be able to put together a hardware reveal behind closed doors or something paramount, something massive, something earth-shattering of that sort until we're much closer to its intended launch window. We're nowhere near it right now, and Nintendo has a huge focus of games coming out this fall and games coming out this spring. They've got a Direct on Thursday, and they probably have another Direct in September. And who knows, maybe Metroid Prime 4 is about to be the heavy focus for Nintendo of America, Nintendo of Japan, and Nintendo of Europe. But all these different pieces are in motion. What do you think about this drama? What do you think about Jez coming out and saying he's pretty confident, walking it back and saying he's maybe confident, and Nate Drake saying it's totally stupid? Press were not shown nada at Gamescom. Let me know your take in the comments down below. I love stuff like this. I think it's just so interesting to get into the nitty-gritty of how these things work, especially at the onset of a new console cycle. New consoles have always been my favorite time in gaming, whether it was a PlayStation 3, a Nintendo GameCube, a Switch, or a Switch 2. I'm super excited to see how this develops, and I got you covered 100%. So until next time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. Love you lots. SwitchForce out.